Does it feel like every part of your life is divided? Every scenario, every environment, your church, your school, your work, your friends, left, right, conservative, liberal, religious, secular. It seems you always have to take a side. This is a conversation between a progressive Christian and a conservative atheist who happen to be great friends. Welcome to Living on Common Ground.
Do you think if we met today, we would still be friends?
I don't know, but we're friends now.
A mob is known as a mob because they're with you.
Man, so what? We won a few games. And y'all fools think that's something? Man, that ain't nothing, y'all. And you know what else? We ain't nothing either. Yeah, we came together in camp. Cool. But then we're right back here and the world tells us that they don't want us to be together. We fall apart like we ain't a damn bit of nothing, man.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm a little chagrined. I was listening to the last episode, and I made that comment about how I love smacking the papers down on the desk because it makes me feel like Rush Limbaugh, and then you can't hear it on there. So
because I cleaned it up.
Yeah, it was like the microphone and everything was like so good. Or was that you?
Yeah, I cleaned it up.
Yeah, you did it so good that you can't hear the papers on there. So anyway, for anybody who listened to that, I was making a papers sound on the.
I heard it.
I know, but I said it was funny. I was like, I love making the sound. Silence.
It makes it sound like Rush Limbaugh. Silence.
Well, you know what? I think that's great, actually. I love making this sound, and then it's the sound of silence. Okay. So, and by the way, I heard from more than one person, which means two, that that was our best episode ever.
That was our best episode?
Yeah. And so if you're listening to this one and you're like, go back and listen to the last one. Apparently it was good.
All right.
So, all right. A while back, been a long time now, it feels like, we started doing those reflections from the beach that I had written on the Substack, and then I recorded myself reading them.
Yeah.
And do we want to? I think today we're gonna do another one. That was a question.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So this one, well, I'm going to tell you what it's called, but I'm also going to tell you right now. It's called The Sand.
Okay.
The Sand. Walk far enough from the water, and the sand changes under your feet. Not a different sand, the same beach, the same 10,000 years of shell and stone and coral ground down by the same ocean. But up near the dunes, it is loose and pale, almost white in the afternoon light, and it gives way under your weight like something that cannot commit to holding you. It fills the space between your toes and spills over the edges of your feet, and when you lift your foot, there is a small collapse, a little avalanche, the sand already forgetting you were there. Come back down toward the water, and it changes. The color deepens, tan, then brown, then a dark gray-brown at the waterline that holds the impression of a boot heel like wet concrete. It is firm. It's cool. It pushes back. You can walk on it for a mile without sinking, without effort, without the burning work of the loose sand above. I walked both of them this morning, up and back, the way you do when you have time and nothing is asking for you. The pale, soft sand and the dark, hard sand, same ocean, same beach. A child collecting shells moved between them without noticing, chasing whatever caught the light. Here's the thing about the pale sand. It looks clean, bright, dry, warm, inviting. The kind of sand you picture when someone says the word beach. Postcards are made of it. And here's the thing about the dark sand. It looks like something has happened to it. Darker, heavier, marked by the water's coming and going. But the pale sand is soft because it's not been tested. The dark sand is firm because the water has moved through it, compacted it, revealed what it's actually made of. We have built whole systems for reading the world by its color. Bright means good, dark means trouble. Soft and warm and yielding means safe. Hard and cool and unyielding means difficult or dangerous or lesser. You learned this early, the way we all did, from the way certain things were described to you, the way certain people were pointed out and certain others quietly steered away from. The beach doesn't know any of that. You have done this with people, chosen the ones who looked clean and warm and easy, who gave way pleasantly under your weight, avoided the ones who seemed marked by something darker somehow, carrying the evidence of what had moved through them, and then discovered, sometimes slowly, sometimes all at once, that what you had read as damage was density, that what looked like hardship had simply been tested, that the ones who had been reached by the water were the ones who could hold your weight for a mile without sinking. It's all the same sand. It's all the same ocean. What changes is where you're standing in relation to the water and whether the water has reached you yet. All right. What are your thoughts?
What do you mean by that?
What do I mean by that? You're supposed to come up with your own meaning. That's the way these reflections are written. And then I will tell you kind of what my thoughts were in writing it. Because the fact is, with all of these reflections, I began writing about what I observed. And then as I began writing, I gave meaning to what I was observing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, you used it as a metaphor.
Yeah. And but at first I didn't set out saying I want to talk about X and I'm going to use the sand to talk about that. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I made observations about the sand and then that turned into thoughts about other things.
Yeah. I thought when you said that we learned this early, I thought you were going to go into, you learned this through your experience as an infant. Mm-hmm. Right? That you touched stone. Mm. It was cool and dense, and that's difficult or whatever. Were you trying to make this a race thing?
No. Actually, race wasn't one of the things I was thinking about.
I wanted to clarify that because you say dark and light.
Right. But in having gone back then and read it, when I read it aloud, I can hear it.
Yeah. I was just wanting to clarify what.
No, that wasn't actually part of my thinking.
Yeah.
But like I can tell, I said, when all of a sudden, when I think it's true, like anything, when you read it, but when you hear it, you can get different things.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
It sounds to me like what you're talking about is someone who seems dangerous, but actually they've just had a difficult time or something. Mm-hmm. Does that sound?
Yeah. Right? I feel like you're asking me if you're right.
Uh-huh.
And whatever you say
I am.
Is going to be correct.
No.
For you. Yeah.
There's a right way.
So okay, I did not
tell me what the painting is.
I know. I did not set out to write about race, but I could see where if someone in hearing it heard that, it would still be applicable, maybe, because of their experiences, right?
Sure,
so like I could see where we're talking about a white person who maybe their parents never said, used derogatory terms, never came out and overtly said things, but subtly turned children away from persons of color or things like that, right? And if that's what someone gets out of what I wrote, that's legitimate, right? To part of it. But I don't think it hits the heart of what I was trying to get at. What I was trying to get at, since you're going to be so elusive today, was this idea that often there are people in our lives who we think are the dangerous ones. Mm-hmm. And if we take the time to get to know them, they actually can provide us with some of the most stability and safety in our lives.
Okay.
That's just my thought.
Can you give me an example?
Can I give you an example? let's see.
Because I'm sure I could come up with a story
right.
in which that was the case. I also, go ahead.
Someone who maybe trying to not be specific. Who?
Come on, give us names.
Okay, let's say that there was someone who had been arrested for whatever, and they they spent their younger years being rebellious. Maybe okay. Now I do have somebody in mind, right? Okay, so they're covered in tattoos. You know that they've been in fights. They've all these kind of things. Yet, when you get to know them and you get to see their heart, you realize that they are the type of person that will be deeply devoted to you, and that you can trust completely, even though if you looked at them, you might be afraid of them. And there are people in this world that we have been taught, and that type of person is going to be different for you than it is for me, than it is for even my brother and I, right? That we have been taught that this type of person is a type of person that needs to be avoided because they are dangerous to you. But if we can get beyond sort of that first reading of them, that we'll find that they're actually the ones that will stick with you through thick and thin. And then the ones that we feel are safe, we find out that at the first moment of adversity, they're out. Can you think of friends like that? Like you thought this was a friend that seemed like a safe person. It seemed like the right person, air quotes, that's really good for a podcast.
Sure.
Right? Quote unquote, the right person. And then you get into something and their deuces, I'm out. And the person who was supposed to be like the one to be afraid of, the one to be avoided, ends up your strongest ally.
I can see that is a possibility. Yeah. And I can think of,
I can give you very specifics if you want, but go ahead.
No, I'm not trying to say that can't happen.
Mm-hmm. I was going to use you as an example, but go ahead.
Okay. That I was deuces.
No, not at all. I was going to, okay. Within the Christian community, many Christians will tell you that you should avoid persons who don't share your faith.
Sure.
Right? People will talk about, don't be unequally yoked, right? And they'll rip this little passage out of scripture from Paul and all that kind of stuff. It has been my experience, and I'm not trying to create a love fest here, all right? But that it has been my experience up to this point that you are probably one of my closest friends that I can completely trust.
Okay.
All right? And there are Christians, there are other pastors, when they find out that one of my closest friends doesn't share my faith.
Yeah.
Okay? They're like, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
It just blows them away. And to me, I'm like, well, I don't even understand why that would blow people away anymore. Does that help?
Yeah. I get.
So in other words, you're a bad influence.
I know.
I should avoid you like the plague.
Dude, I am a bad influence. So do you, okay, so here's a question. Are you taking this as a principle, as a rule to follow? Like if I find myself thinking this person is the dangerous one that I should stay away from, then I will try to get closer to them.
No, I don't think I'm not trying to say that either.
Okay.
What I am, maybe it's just a beautifully written.
It is well written.
That sounded a little self-congratulatory, didn't it?
A little. It is actually well written.
Thank you.
You're a good writer.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I'm serious about that.
Yeah, if you saw, sometimes it's like giving birth for me.
Sure,
because
I get it.
I will sit and it took me 5 hours to come up with, and I had already written this chapter 4 times.
The average length of time, by the way, to give birth. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Well, and I don't mean to sort of downplay giving
No, you
birth,
should.
because I could just hear people like, you don't even know. Anyway.
That's pretty much the same thing.
But it can take me
writing a page-long essay and giving birth.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same thing.
That's not what I said at all. No, but what I am saying is that it's just a very flowery way of saying, don't judge books by their cover.
Yeah. I get it.
Right. And that when you get to the heart of the matter, people are people. Some of us have just been through different things. And sometimes the things make us more trustworthy because we've carried that weight.
Yes. Okay. So this is why I keep hemming and hawing.
Yeah, because it's your nature.
Yeah, it is. My instinct is to go the opposite first, and then I have to
whatever I say.
Yep.
Or I'm guessing whatever anyone says, including
that is
Krista.
true.
Yeah.
That is true, and it is very annoying. But my instinct is to go the opposite first, and then have to be reminded to come back to what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which is, I think you should trust your instinct. So a couple things that I'm going to quibble, and then we'll come back together. Okay.
That's what we want to do.
Okay, good. My contention would be, we learn these things rather than we are taught these things. And what I mean by that is, I don't know that most of our perceptions of the world are really cognitively, deliberately taught. I think we learn them through an enormous amount of stimuli that comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it might be explicitly stated by parents, but I think the vast majority of the time, what happens is we have some sort of instinct about the world, and then we backwards project that onto things that we remember our parents saying.
Mm-hmm.
And it might have been something that they said that directly caused this.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they might have said the opposite, or they might have said X and we took J when it came through the filter of our experience or whatever, and so what I'm hearing when I hear you talk about this as an analogy, I'm hearing you say pit bulls are good dogs. They just have bad owners sometimes. Okay. And my reaction is, absolutely they can be good dogs. And there's a reason they have the reputation.
Sure.
And that's going to sound like I'm saying, like, well, somebody has tattoos and they've been in jail, you should just write them off. And I guess in a way I kind of am starting from that position. I'm starting from the position of trust your instincts. Don't override your instinct because you want to have an ideological position that this could be somebody that's not dangerous, even though they fit all of the real quick, like, I got to snap into the microphone because you're going to clean up my snap.
I might even clean that up.
Yes.
Probably not the snap directly into the microphone. I won't be able to get that out of there.
Now, like I said, that's kind of like where I start. And of course, humans aren't pit bulls. Humans aren't dogs, right? So the metaphor breaks down, and there is an ethical reason why why you wouldn't write off groups of people, for instance, the way you could write off pit bulls and just live a good life, and there's no ethics to it at all, right?
Sure.
There's no ethics to saying I'm never going to own a pit bull.
And I will say I could write off entire groups of people and still live a good life.
But what I'm saying is I recognize that I need to continue to be reminded of Okay, get to know them, right? But yeah, that's so that's like that's where my quibble is that I start from like, nah, I mean, if a person is kind of showing you who they are, believe them, that kind of thing, right? But I do know that, and I recognize that someone could say, Lucas, you were in juvie, you were, trashy growing up. You are undisciplined. You are, you have you have a bunch of stuff in the makeup of who you are, and what built you. So I could write you off, and I would say, yeah, you could, and I think that you'd have some justification in that. I hope you wouldn't, but I could see it. I understand it. I do. I think that it's good for me to be reminded to well, I'm repeating myself for the third time. Be reminded to see people as individuals and not as the broad brush, strokes. That.
So I wrote a couple notes while you were talking.
Okay.
All
yes.
Right? That's what this scribbling is over here. So you said that you tend to believe that people are who they show you they are, right? And I agree with that. However, you still have to let them show you who they are.
That's true.
Right? And so there's that. And so the other thing, though, is when you talked about people, you push back a little bit against taught and you think it's learned, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
And I know that I wrote that things that we are taught.
Yeah.
From early on, right? And I think that you could take the taught and the learned and flip and still like just pull it out and put in the learned, and the message is still the same.
Sure.
Okay. Because I think that what we're talking about here is the difference between passive and active language. Passive language allows me to say, I am a victim in all of this, and all of my prejudices and all my preconceived ideas about people are not my fault. It was forced on me, right? And so maybe it is more accurate to say that all of these things that I experienced, and whether it was something that I heard, or whether it was something that I just observed, or whatever the case may be, over time, these are the things that I learned through my experiences. That I actually kind of like that, because it does give a sense of ownership to my my preconceived opinions about whatever it is I'm observing.
Sure.
Right. And so I think it's important to take ownership, and especially in a world today where too many of us want to be the victim. It's never my fault.
Well, Tom Holland's position on that.
Spider-Man? I'm just kidding. The other one. Yeah.
They talked to each other, by the way.
Did they?
They because Tom Holland is in the Odyssey. And so every history podcast did some
which is funny. Do they realize though that this isn't okay? Go ahead.
The
Odyssey is not meant. In my opinion, the Odyssey is not it was not written as a historical account of something.
Oh, I find it to be exactly historically accurate all the way through.
Yeah.
No, actually, the rest is history's treatment of it and the ancients' treatment of it, both of those I found really interesting.
Okay, but now I have to go back and listen to Tom Holland and Mark. What's his name?
Dominic Sandbrook.
Dominic, and that podcast again.
The rest is history.
Yeah, I listened to that religiously.
They're great. They did a really good
while,
one.
And then I fell off.
Yeah, they did a really good one on the Odyssey, and then because everyone did, every history podcast had to do a podcast about the Odyssey. And then Tom Holland interviewed Tom Holland. That was really fun. Anyway,
Okay.
Tom Holland, the historian, his contention would be that our highest virtue in the West, well, what he would say is our highest position is victimhood because that's a Christian value, because we worship a victim. We worship a murdered slave. And so that is one of the legacies that cultural Christianity, if you want to call it that,
I'm comfortable with that,
has given the West, and the West has propagated that everywhere in different ways, and that that is why we have this victim Olympics, if you want to call it that, right? That we
I like that image.
Yeah. Anyway, I just think it's interesting from a cultural standpoint. I don't know that we're going to get away from it, but it is the highest ethic. It's the highest virtue. Well, it's not exactly a virtue. What it is, being an actual victim, is armor against the slings and arrows intended to show your lack of virtue. You cannot be assailed as being the bad person of having less virtue if it can be established that you have high priest victim status. And so I think it is a level of armor that you can have.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's a nice little escape hatch for accountability. So anyway, that whole part of our conversation comes out of the idea of, were you taught or did you learn?
Yeah.
All right. So the overall premise of what I was thinking as I wrote it, how does that land with you? Did you already say it? I was busy taking notes. The overall premise, the idea that it's very possible that the people who have been through the hardest, have had the water run through them more, may actually be the person that you need in the moment.
I think that all of that is possible. Like that's how I would say that it strikes me. It strikes me as I can see that as a possibility, and I should leave it open as a possibility. I think that sometimes, and I do think that this comes out of a life of comfort. I think that sometimes we see that as a principle. That's why I was asking, like, is this a principle that...
And maybe it's an exception.
It could be an exception. It could, well, okay. So the way that it strikes me is it is a good reminder for someone like me maybe as an exception, although I don't exactly like the term exception for this, because I think that for myself, that implies something that an exception is something I can disregard.
Okay.
And I don't want to disregard this. I want to hold it somehow in balance. Or no, because I don't know that that's possible. I want to be reminded of it.
Sure.
I want to be reminded.
Like a checks and balance type of thing?
Every once in a while, I want to be reminded, because I have a tendency to categorize and put on the shelf people. I do. I know that I do. Right? And mostly, and I'll say this is probably because I'm a product of the 90s, it really has, as far as I know, it has absolutely nothing to do with race. So I don't really do that. But if you say something that I know is a code word for, I'm anti-Trump, or I'm a progressive,
and it can
or
be
whatever.
little things like saying persons instead of people.
That's exactly right. I have a tendency to
Which,
go.
by the way, when I write persons, Grammarly corrects it to people.
It's because it's not a freaking word. I'm just giving you a hard time. But
I want to acknowledge the personhood of everyone.
that's fine. You acknowledge the personhood, a word, of the people, a word. I just get it. Words are just mouth sounds. Anyway, I'm just giving you a hard time.
That carry meaning.
They do. But if I hear a word like that, if I hear a phrase, I have a tendency to very quickly write someone off and just kind of
I've been
disregard
fortunate then, because I have a feeling I may say some of the phrases.
You say a lot of them. Do you know why I don't?
Why?
Because you and I are friends. We're friends.
Yeah.
So then that's not that cuts underneath. And so what I'm saying is, and there are many people, I will say, in this church who are my friends, and so I don't write them off.
Right. But had you not known us
early on, before we became friends, mentally, yeah, I probably wrote them off a little bit. I'm using lots of words to try to soften this. Yeah, I do, just mentally. I don't really have to think about what they have to say.
Yeah.
But then I become friends, and now, crap, I'm in it.
Yeah.
I'm in it.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from sharing life. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah. Because, I'm not going to share that story. It's not worth sharing.
And it happens. I mean, it's not just, I used, the example of like hearing a progressive phrase. It's not just that. I mean, I'll hear another phrase that, like, I'll hear somebody repeat something that like a conservative politician has said, but they're repeating it in kind of a way that I'm like, oh, you're just, okay. So
yeah, no, and the same thing happens for me. Like a progressive person will say something and I'm like, you obviously, like,
you're just repeating something. I know. Yeah. And then I will kind of write them off in my mind. Like it's easy for me to disregard.
There are particular celebrities that I don't like. I just whatever.
Yes, but this is my point. Well, I don't care about the celebrities though, because they're not in my life.
And the whole thing about the reflection is it brings it down to local.
Yeah, the person. And so what I'm saying is, I think it's a good reminder. I want to be reminded regularly to stop that and try to connect with the person.
Right.
In person. And I think it has to be in person. I know this is at this point, this is so cliche, but Chris and I were just talking about it last night. I mean, it's almost too cliche to even say, but online personalities ruin this. And then I get in person with someone and talk to them, and we're friends. We're friends. But you take that same person and we're quote unquote talking online. I mean, they're just an avatar.
I can think of a guest that we had that I observed that. So
now I'm trying to think of. Yes.
I'll talk about it when we're done recording. Because all right. So I think one last thought about this, right? Because this is something that I've talked about in sermons and in our small group discussions and things like that.
Yeah.
I think this is part of it too. This helps maybe understand a little bit. I'm a firm believer that hurt people.
Sure.
Right. But I also think that healed people heal people.
Okay.
And sometimes you can't tell the difference until you get to know them. Because hurt people and healed people can look the same because they may be carrying the same scars.
Sure.
And so you have to know, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can see that.
Yeah. Because if I've been healed, if I've experienced it and I'm healed from it, then as you go through it, I'm there to walk with you through it. But if I'm still hurting from it, then, or I may turn around and hurt you with the exact same thing.
Yeah. I think this is all good. I still think it's legitimate to not give a job to somebody who's got a face tattoo. Just kidding. Kinda.
All right.
You know what's so interesting about face tattoos, actually?
I don't think anyone. You may have okay, I have tattoos.
Yeah, I know.
The other day, I was participating. This will come back around.
Yeah.
I was participating in a district meeting.
Yeah.
And I had on a long sleeve white shirt.
Yeah.
And I went to the restroom and I was washing my hands. And I looked up in the mirror and I realized that you could see all of my tattoos through the white shirt. And to everyone's credit in that meeting, no one commented on what they could see underneath my shirt.
Yeah.
So, because just like maybe a third of my back is covered, and all that kind of stuff.
I've never seen that. I've only seen like a couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like on your arms or whatever.
Well, I don't think you've ever seen me with my shirt off.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
So, anyway, but I do. So I like tattoos.
Yeah.
But I do think, just to be honest, if someone applied for a job here at the church and I was part of the interview team and they had a face tattoo, I'm less likely to hire them.
That's why I said face tattoo, because a face tattoo
that's what I'm saying.
Bold to say. You're making a very big statement.
Right? Yeah. I mean, like we have cousins, Denise and I, that have tattoos on their heads, but if they grow their hair out, you don't see it.
Sure.
But a face tattoo?
I mean, you got to be Mike Tyson.
I would suggest if you're thinking about getting here's the word of advice. If you take nothing else away from today's podcast, if you're thinking about getting a face tattoo, make sure that you are already independently wealthy.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. No, for real.
No, I think.
What's our takeaway?
I don't have. I want to talk about this now.
The face tattoo?
The tattoo thing.
Oh,
How
am I going to write the summary of this?
I don't know. That's your job. It's not my responsibility. I grew up, I have no tattoos currently. That's not a flex. It just is. Okay.
I feel the judgment coming across the table.
Oh, you should.
Yeah.
And
this warm wave of condescension.
But I grew up with it like as a, it was one of those things that kind of what you're talking about in, like what you're taught and what you learn and whatever. I realized it became an assumption of my life that there was some sort of moral attached to it, some sort of better and worse kind of thing, right? And so I just had that as like an assumption, and then, but I've never really. But if you asked me, I didn't have any problem with someone having tattoos. I just thought like, I wouldn't ever or whatever.
Maybe they're a little less loose. Maybe they're a little more loose with their morals.
Yeah, like certain types of people get tattoos, and then the normal people don't. That was kind of like I wouldn't have ever said that out loud.
Well, and we've talked about your background in church with your grandparents.
With my grandparents.
I think that's a common thing for a person who would have that kind of background.
And they were, like we said before, we weren't Baptist, but Church of God Anderson was, when they grew up in it, was very, there was teetotaler, you don't dance, you don't go to movie theaters, you don't, you know what I mean? Like very puritanical, right? And so by the time I came around to a ton of that had loosened up, but still, that's the legacy of it. That was kind of like the normal people do, you're milk toast, you eat oatmeal, you go to work. That's
I like oatmeal.
Right? No flavoring. Anyway, my point just being, I realized like 10 years ago or so, and I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about, I do have these assumptions. I kind of like discovered it.
We all do.
Yeah, I kind of discovered it. But it was when I realized like I was studying like Nordic, like Northman kind of culture, and realizing that all of these that there were whole populations for hundreds and thousands of years where tattoos are like, that's important. The normal people have tattoos. It would be very extreme
to not.
to not have a tattoo, that you would be making a statement. You'd have to make a statement to not have a tattoo, right? And that did make that made an impact on me where it's like, okay, I have this kind of assumption thing. Yeah. And then Reed really, really wants a tattoo, and we've kind of said, like, maybe we'll get our first tattoos with him, even though he is not about that at all. He is not interested.
Madison got her first tattoo at 21 years old. And Robbie, of course, is 18, and he keeps talking about it. But Robbie, it also takes it very seriously, and he's not just going to run out and get something. Like, he wants to make sure that it's something he's okay with. And here's the thing, too. Like, I think this is interesting. So, like, growing up, I had very much the same, it was sort of, I was taught, I learned whatever, the same thing, the same opinions about tattoos that you were just describing, right? Now tattoos are very mainstream, right? Like, it's almost like you're either old or you're like different.
Yeah, you're making a statement if you don't.
Yeah, now. Yeah. But the interesting thing is there's a pushback coming against tattoos again.
Yeah.
But it's no longer wrapped up in morality. It now has to do with your financial standing.
Sure.
And what I've seen recently is, like, only people who are under a certain level of income or have exceeded that income to like athletes and things like that.
We'll get
only poor people get tattoos. Only trash people get tattoos. So now it has to do with
it's
your
a class thing.
And so I thought that was an interesting whatever group made that maneuver. It was very interesting.
Nobody could have made that maneuver. That's the type of thing I think you can't do. That's the kind of thing that
That's what I'm saying. Something happened somewhere that this began to shift like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you saw people like, what's his name? Pete
Davidson.
Yeah. Who like went through.
You got a bunch of them taken out.
And I heard he spent like $200,000.
Sure.
To have them taken off.
Yeah.
So looking at his tattoos, I would have paid $200,000 to get those off because they were pretty trashy.
Yeah. I mean, my grandma never said it's bad. What she would say is, you got to really think about, do you want that 20 years from now?
Right.
And she would say, when you're sagging, that's the
same. Yep. That was the same argument I had thrown in my face from my parents' generation and my family. They're like, are you going to really want that when you're in the nursing home? And then we kept getting this. And one of our cousins, who is covered from head to toe, he looked at this person that kept saying that to us and said, let me ask you, how old are you? I'm 80. Okay. Do you care what people think about you? And she was like, nope. And he goes, why do you think I will?
Right. Yeah.
And that ended that entire argument. That argument never has come up again.
Yeah. So. Well, and I just think that it's interesting that, when people are saying, when my grandma is saying that as a 50-year-old, she's in her 80s now, but she's saying it as a 50-year-old.
Yeah.
She's imagining older people at that time, and she's imagining me as an older person at that time. And that's how it struck me of like, oh no, this is just cultural, because when everyone in the nursing home has tattoos, it will be
the norm.
People who are then 30 and 40 years old, they will think of old people as having tattoos. Now, that might discourage them to get tattoos, perhaps.
It's very possible.
But the class thing, I think, is interesting. That I think if I was going to say, Lucas, why have you not ever gotten a tattoo? What's the number one reason? Because I don't think I ever decided to not get a tattoo. I just was like, it never came up. And I think it was, because I'm not going to spend money on that.
It's not cheap.
Because I got my eyebrow pierced in college, and I wore earrings.
Things that are not as expensive.
It wasn't expensive.
Yeah, tattoos are expensive. You mentioned earrings. Last thing, because I think it illustrates the idea of immediately like seeing things and immediately judging and forming opinions about it. When I was in college, I got my ears pierced.
Yeah.
And my grandfather saw me.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, are you a pirate now?
That's great. Did you have a dangly earring?
I had loops.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. All right. I don't think we accomplished a darn thing, but
good.
That's okay. All right. Talk to you in a couple weeks.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to Living on Common Ground. Please follow wherever you listen to your podcasts and share it with your friends. You can also find a link to our social in the description. The more people we have living on common ground, the better the world will be.